Hello and welcome back to my humble show. I am your host for today and every other day, the Articulate Thinker. Hopefully. Here to bring you art articles and articulation straight from articulation stations. Be sure to like, subscribe, and enjoy the ride. Don't forget to turn on those bell notifications while you're at it. If you like it, put a ring on it, sharing is caring, all that other good stuff. But enough about me. Let me turn off this strobe light here in the background. It's annoying. It's distracting. So I've been told. That's why I don't usually turn it on anymore. Alright, so I have some news to cover while I'm here on my lunch break. Here at home on my lunch break. Don't have long. I have to go back to work soon. It is a short work day. I would like to get some fresh air after work. It is nice and warm outside. It's not going to be that way for long. The winter is rolling around, but yeah. Looking forward to a great weekend. I will be fairly busy because my wife's birthday is coming up in a couple of days. On Sunday to be exact. We have plans, family plans, plans for just the two of us. And let's see, what else? Well, I did record a couple of shows yesterday about what's going on over in Gaza and Israel. I didn't really receive any feedback or even views on those two shows, those two podcasts. It's strange when I'm trying to grow this channel. I 3 videos ago get over 400 views, and then, like I said, for the last 2, practically 0. And that's okay. I'm not really sure how to best reach the algorithm, but we'll see what happens. I'll continue pressing forward, trying to find my rhythm, trying to find my stroke of genius. Duh. Good luck to myself with that. I'm no expert on any of these matters, especially when it comes to foreign policy, but I do like to share my thoughts. I do like to cover the news, like I said. So here it goes. Touching briefly on this, which ties right into the aforementioned topic of Gaza and Israel. Headline from earlier in the day. This is from Reuters. Hamas says it releases 2 U.S. hostages for humanitarian reasons after Qatari efforts. You know, I'm not so sure I believe the humanitarian claims. After all, there are approximately 200 hostages, and they have supposedly released 2. But good for you, Hamas, I guess. Hamas armed wing, the Is el-Din al-Qassam Brigades, has released 2 U.S. hostages from Gaza, a mother and her daughter, for humanitarian reasons, in response to Qatari mediation efforts in the war with Israel, its spokesman Abu Abeda said on Friday. Does that mean that there were negotiations with terrorists, which led to the release of 2 hostages? I don't know. I thought we weren't going to be negotiating with terrorists. If that's the case, then again, this is run through Qatari. I don't know how much the United States even had to do with this, how much we were aware of this. And by we, I mean our government, our Biden administration. Hamas says it took about 200 hostages during a deadly October 7 rampage carried out from the Gaza Strip on communities and military bases in southern Israel, part of the biggest attack on the country since the 1973 Arab-Israeli War. It's possible that they did this as a distraction, if not to gain some sympathy, seeing as how they already have some of that even from members of our own government here in the United States, members of Congress, etc., etc. Let's see here. What was I going to say? It's possible, very possible, if not likely, that they did this, yes, as a distraction, but to slow walk the, I want to say, inevitable ground incursion. Well, I don't know if it's inevitable at this point. And maybe they want to stall that as long as possible, drag it out. If they say release hostages here and there and keep Israel from invading, full scale, that could very well be strategic on their part. But yeah, hopefully they will continue to release hostages alive. And whether that is something that we over here in America are able to make happen, we'll see. But you just can't really go right when you negotiate with terrorists. I mean, maybe you can. Maybe you can. It's not like we've never done that. You're incentivizing not just them, but so many other terrorist entities around the world. So what else does this article have to say? Hamas said 50 more are held by other armed groups in the enclave. It is more than 20 hostages have been killed. It said more than 20 hostages have been killed by Israeli airstrikes, but has not given any further details. Yeah, I've seen that claim going around, but do we really want to take Hamas's word on that? I mean, it's possible considering the extent of the strikes which have been levied against the pretty much leveled Gaza Strip there. Well, a lot of infrastructure has been destroyed. I should say that. And some civilians as well. And there are more reports coming out about this church, which was struck unintentionally by, well, a strike, courtesy of Israel. So people are going to take whatever side they're going to take on that. And I talked all about the different sides, the two sides, in my previous two shows, so I'm not going to go into that. I don't even know if I want to go into the rest of this article here. I just wanted to run this by you and likely talk about it later at some point. Yeah, so moving on from this Reuters article to news about the House of Representatives, which currently has no speaker. Still has no speaker. Jim Jordan did not make the cut, unfortunately. Hope people could get their stuff together, come together enough to vote him in as the Speaker of the House, the next Speaker of the House. But just another mouse in the house, apparently. We'll see where they go from here. So I did see this. Breaking. We have found a $200,000 direct payment to Joe Biden. This is a video which Representative James Comer put out here on the Oversight Committee account on Twitter. It's over 2 minutes long. I'm not going to play it. I don't want to lay it out for you too much because, like I said, my focus is going to be on Jim Jordan primarily and the failed attempt to appoint him next Speaker of the House. But here's a post from Oversight Committee. Some immediate questions President Biden must answer for the American people. Does he have documents proving he lent such a large sum of money to his brother? And what were the terms of such financial arrangement? Did he have similar financial arrangements with other family members that led them to make similar large payments to him in the form of a loan, payback, or you name it? Did he know that the same day James Biden wrote him a check for $200, James Biden had just received a loan for the exact same amount from business dealings with a company that was in financial distress and failing? Yes. Questions to be asked indeed. The problem is the House, which James Comer is a member of, currently has no speaker, and so they can't even continue with their impeachment inquiry. Thanks to Matt Gaetz, 7 other Republicans, and 208 other Democrats, and then, of course, all of the Republicans who now can't decide who they want to be a Speaker of their House. They can't really accomplish much, so it is almost amusing that in the middle of all the chaos of Congress, James Comer would say, "Look what we found." If you had this earlier, why didn't you put this out earlier? Is this an attempt to try to save a little bit of face in a time where everyone is questioning you and the job you are doing or not doing currently in Congress? By you, I don't mean James Comer specifically. I just mean that it's a clown show. So there are a bunch of new tweets about this on their page. Here's an article from the Federalist. Maybe I'll click on this, pull it up momentarily. I'm tying this obviously to the speakership or lack thereof, because the two things are correlated very closely, aren't they? And you can only go so far in this investigation into Joe Biden if you have a speaker. So they need to make that happen so they can make this happen. I'm not sure how good of an idea this was in the first place, this impeachment inquiry. I mean, all of the investigating, well, that was necessary. But when they were talking about impeachment inquiry, I know it's just an inquiry, but hey, if you can't get your ducks in a row, then who are you to claim to expose Joe Biden? Joe Biden paid $200,000 out of loan from brother's company accused of fraud. So there's a lot to look into there, and I will look into it. In fact, I would like to look into it a little bit more thoroughly before I even speak on it. I don't want to jump to any conclusions here. It's not that I have any trust whatsoever for the Biden family. It's just that it's all very coincidental at this point. When you cannot get your stuff together over in the House of Representatives, and then you're like, oh, look what we found. Can we do anything about it? Not really, not right now. But there is this. And this is evidence, even if just circumstantial. Does this prove outright corruption or crime on the part of Joe Biden? I'm not so sure. I don't know. Let's see what Marjorie Taylor Greene has to say. This was retweeted by Oversight Committee. Biden bribery money trail. On March 1 of 2018, distress company AmeriCorps wires $200,000 to James Biden because his last name, Biden, could, quote, open doors to Middle East investment. Oh, another correlation. The same day Joe Biden received a $200,000 check from James Biden. Here's the evidence. So there's a lot going on in the Middle East right now. That's why I emphasize that. Joe Biden was announcing, well, maybe not announcing, but speaking from the Oval Office just yesterday, calling for Congress, which once again has no speaker, to put together additional packages of funding for, you guessed it, Ukraine, Israel, so on and so forth. As though we have an endless supply of money to fund people, to fund countries with. But, yeah, I'm not going to take it from Marjorie Taylor Greene here. I don't really care what she has to say, but I care what the facts are. The evidence is circumstantial even. And I think there is likely something to this, at least to the extent of there being questions necessary to ask of the Bidens. So here's an old clip of Joe Biden asking, where's the money?
Bribery allegation. Congresswoman Nancy Mace says there's damning evidence in that FBI file that you sold out the country. Do you have a response to the congressional Republicans?
Where's the money? I'm joking.
Mr. President,
it's a bunch of malarkey.
Mr. President.
So he called the allegations against him a bunch of malarkey. He asked, where's the money? And then he said he's just joking. Well, maybe he retracted that question just a little bit because he knows there's actually money to be found. And when he asked, where's the money, he thought to himself afterwards, well, actually, there is money. So let me just say that I'm joking. And hope that nobody actually finds it. Well, supposedly, according to James Comer, the Oversight Committee, at least an extent of it has been found. And I could play just the first few seconds of this clip of the aforementioned James Comer.
This summer, Joe Biden said, where's the money? Well, we found some.
Sorry for the low volume, but he repeats the line from Joe Biden, where's the money?
This summer, Joe Biden said, where's the money? Well, we found some. We're still digging into evidence subpoenaed from bank accounts belonging to Hunter Biden, the son of President Joe Biden, and James and Sarah Biden, the brother and sister-in-law of the president. A document that we're releasing today raises new questions about how President Biden personally benefited from his family's shady influence peddling of his last name and their access to him. Bank records obtained by the House Committee on Oversight have revealed a $200,000 direct payment from James and Sarah Biden to Joe Biden.
So from, Joe Biden never talked to any of his family members about anything except for maybe the weather, to actual money, hundreds of thousands of dollars being exchanged. So that does seem to answer the question, where's the money, doesn't it? It suggests that it's not a bunch of malarkey after all to look into, inquire about the business decisions of the Bidens. But once again, like I keep emphasizing, there is currently no Speaker of the House, and they need to get their own House in order before they can thoroughly expose the House of the Bidens, if you know what I mean. So that leads me to this. House Speaker vote live updates from ABC News. Republicans in secret ballot drop Jordan as nominee. Jim Jordan signaled even more votes could be held this weekend. But yes, he may not be a nominee. I mean, he isn't at this point. I'm somewhat surprised by that. I thought less Republicans, a lesser number of Republicans would be opposed to him. But yes, he seems to have less support than Kevin McCarthy did, even. So there's that. Initially, like I said, 208 Democrats sided with 8 Republicans to oust Kevin McCarthy. And then it appeared that Jim Jordan was going to be the favorite to replace him. Donald Trump announcing his endorsement as well. But then, in a closed-door vote behind the scenes, Steve Scalise came out on top, and he was going to be the nominee. But it appeared that he would not receive enough votes in an ultimate House floor vote. So he stepped out of the race, handed the baton to Jim Jordan, and then Jim Jordan couldn't rack up enough votes either. So now I guess he's going to hand the baton to someone else. Who else? You tell me. Some are suggesting that Donald Trump should be the Speaker of the House. I think that's a ridiculous notion. I think he would receive even less votes than Jim Jordan, Steve Scalise, or Kevin McCarthy. So it would be kind of pointless to even attempt. It would just turn the clown show into even more of a clown show. But hey, who else are you going to go with at this point? Byron Donalds, that name has been tossed around out there. But if people aren't going to vote for Jim Jordan, are they going to vote for Byron Donalds? I mean, they're similar in a lot of their positions. And that goes for Donald Trump, too. If they're not going to vote for Jim Jordan, why would they vote for Donald Trump? Why would they come together around him? So we'll see. Maybe they'll be stuck with an interim speakership for a while, and they can only do so much with that. And maybe they're going to do some willing and dealing behind the scenes, but I know Jim Jordan was trying his best to converse with the conservatives and, well, so-called conservatives. I know a lot of them are being called rhinos at this point, Republican in name only, and maybe there's actually something to that. Maybe they have a bunch of personal beefs or just political beefs that they can't hash out. But this is where they're at. House Republicans have officially rejected Representative Jim Jordan for Speaker. They were very enthusiastic about him, and now they're dropping him. Not like it's hot either. The conference dropped Jordan as their nominee in a secret ballot vote behind closed doors on Friday afternoon after his speakership bid failed for a third time on the House floor. And if they're doing it behind closed doors, that reflects negatively on their current standing. So that's the bad news. The current state of Congress, that's the bad news. The good news is that these same members of Congress who are such failures were successful in digging up some dirt on Joe Biden, which I guess shouldn't be considered good news. It's a shame. It's a crying shame that we have so many corrupt politicians among us calling the shots. But maybe this is just one big expose on all of them. Maybe they'll all be exposed through this. It seems like the Republicans are just, intent on shooting themselves in the foot repeatedly. at this point. Like, they're more than willing to turn the reins over to the Democrats. It's not that Hakeem Jeffries can take the reins unless some of the Republicans literally expose themselves 100% as I said, rhinos, and then vote for the Democrats. I don't know that I can see that happening either. So they're just stuck in limbo. Speaking of being stuck in limbo. So I don't know that I can see Hakeem Jeffries getting the nomination, or shall I say, he has the nomination of the Democrats, but winning the speakership back, or at least for once. He never had it in the first place. But, on McCarthy's part, and he could be a nominee once again. That would be hilarious if it came full circle and he was once again nominated and voted in as the Speaker of the House. He would have the last laugh there. But the whole thing would still be a joke. But I can't really see that happening. Some of those 8 Republicans would have to switch their votes and then suddenly support Kevin McCarthy for Speaker, even though they ousted him in the first place. I don't know that I can see that happening. I don't know that 20 members of Congress are going to suddenly change their mind on Jim Jordan either. So who will it be? Well, I guess they're going to remain in limbo for a little while. Over the weekend for sure. I don't know when the next vote will be held, but it's looking like it will be a failed vote even in that case, if that happens. Jordan speaks after being booted as nominee. McCarthy says Republicans are going back to the drawing board. GOP drops Jordan and secret ballot vote. Republicans and secret ballot to decide if Jordan should stay in the race. Republicans to huddle behind closed doors as House remains paralyzed. Those are just a bunch of headlines from ABC News. I don't really care to dig too deeply into anything ABC News has to offer, but those are the basic points of contention. Before I forget to mention, I'm going to wrap this up here in a moment because, well, my wife is home for not for lunch break. Her day is over. I have to go back to work for a little while. But yes, as Time says here, Time magazine, Jordan would be most conservative speaker in 80 years. So it could have been the Democrats who were shooting themselves in the foot because they were like, let's agree with 8 Republicans and oust the Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, which opened up the door to the Republicans to nominate someone, to vote in someone who would have been even more conservative, and therefore a big regret on the part of the Democrats. But the Republicans are too dumb to make that happen, apparently. So they're taking all the shots to the feet at this point. Anyways, that's what I have to say about that. Feel free to let me know what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Keep in touch. Keep in tune. New content is coming soon. Peace.